Welcome to the Stochastic MLB Strategy Show. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. You can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. I'm here with Matt Belman. You can find Matt on Twitter at FantasyTipsMatt. And this show is sponsored by Caesars. We've been telling you about this deal all week. If you haven't heard about it yet and you have Caesars available where you live in your state, highly recommend signing up for Caesars. You bet $50, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets when you sign up at Caesars. We'll tell you more about that deal a little bit later on. Of course, you need to be 21 plus to gamble in most states. If you are someone who has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. While you're coming in, guys, please like the video. I always forget to ask throughout the show. I should be asking you guys to like the video. I often forget, so I'll remind you now. Please do like the video. Helps us out quite a bit. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. We have the pleasure of being joined today. I thought I was going to have to do a solo show today with how sick I've been. That was going to be kind of rough. I am going to have to attempt that tomorrow, but today I am lucky enough to be joined by Matthew Belman, who's been absolutely crushing this MLB season and has 2 tickets to the FanDuel live final tomorrow. He's not traveling for it, but still, Matt, how excited are you for the live final?
I'm excited. I'm probably more excited to do a show with you, man. Hadn't seen you in a while, so happy to be on here with you. I'm excited for the live final. Kind of weird that it's on a Sunday, but yeah, should be a fun slate at least, you know, with most teams playing. Yeah, I'm just excited for the weekend, just to talk this slate out with you, and then looking forward to tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I assume you have no idea yet who you're playing tomorrow.
No idea yet. I mean, they don't even have the slate out yet. So like, I've been looking at like the potential pitching matchups all week, just so I have like an idea. So when I first open it, it's not like brand new to me. But with only 2 lineups, I'm gonna have so much time anyways. I don't want to like overthink it, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I probably wouldn't start looking at it yet if I were you. Need a lot more information.
You can't really.
Yeah.
Because if there's a rain out today, if there's a rain out today, it changes everything for tomorrow. So like, you know, who knows what weather tomorrow is going to be like. It's almost like a fool's errand.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, I wouldn't have looked at it yet either, but it's hard, you know. What is the top prize there?
Top prize is $500K to first, like $300K to second, and it goes down considerably after that. DK had a much better prize structure up top. That said, DK's was also harder and more expensive to get into, so like it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the ticket on DK is worth like $60K. You know, when you enter the contest, that's what it has the ticket worth. On FanDuel, it's $16K.
Okay. And how many total are in the contest?
125 people, which is kind of nice because for some reason the whole time for the past couple weeks I had been thinking there was 200 people. So it's nice that there's, you know, only 125.
Yeah, you got a 2 in 125 chance to take down 500,000 tomorrow. That's pretty fun. So that's exciting. But that's tomorrow. Today we've got 2 different slates to talk. We've got an early slate and a main slate. 13 total games to talk about here. Of course, Sven asking the important questions. Does Matt have hair? Has that been established? You don't have to answer that, Matt. You could also answer untruthfully. If you're a bald guy like me, you could just say like, no, I have beautiful hair under this hat.
I definitely have hair. My hairline is certainly receding. I'm not going to show it now only because I need a haircut in the worst way. My hair is actually very long, so you can't tell right now. And my hairline is receding up front, so I won't wear like a snapback backwards like this.
Okay.
But I for sure have hair. I'm on some videos next week. I'll show off my lettuce next week.
Yeah, I thought you had some hair. I didn't remember. Maybe you went hatless on high stakes. I don't remember, but I feel like I've seen your hair.
Probably taking my hat off, like, you know, now and then, just before shows or whatever.
Sure.
I definitely have hair. I'm not like hiding anything here. I just, you know, hat's easier. My hair's a mess. I do have a receding hairline. I mean, shit, I'm almost 40 years old. So.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Well, I'm 38. I turned 39 in October.
Right. Yeah. You and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
You're not far behind me.
Yeah, I can't believe that you have the same. My wife and my father have the same birthday, and now you're in the club. I told my wife that, and she was really excited. So
yeah. July 26th club. Yeah, it's a good birthday to have. Your wife 7 years younger than me, but still same birthday club. I'm guessing your father-in-law doesn't have the same birth date as me either. So
it's my father. And
your father?
He was born in 1948. So probably
wow, Your dad is older than my dad. Okay.
Yeah, my dad's 7. How old's your dad?
He is, so he was born in 52, so I guess he's 71.
Yeah, my dad's like 75, 70, however. Yeah. So
yeah. Are you do you have siblings?
I do. I'm the younger. So
okay.
like I have an old, so it makes more sense. I'm like, yep. I have an older sister and I'm the youngest one in my entire family, like cousins and etc.
Oh wow. Okay. So you're the baby.
Yeah, I told you about my cousin. You ran cross country at Tufts. Yep. My cousin played football at Tufts. That's like my oldest cousin, and he is like 14 years older than me.
All right. Yeah, I'm not the baby, so I'm the third of 4 in my immediate family. But then there are several who are younger. My mom is also one of 8 girls in her family. She has 7 sisters, 0 brothers. So I have a lot of cousins. Yeah, spanning it. Yeah. It is pretty crazy. I have no idea what the odds are, but certainly low.
Yeah, I've never heard anything like that. That's wild.
Yeah, but then it makes sense that I'm older than you, yet your dad is older than my dad. You're the youngest. All right. Should we talk some baseball? What do you think?
Yeah, man, let's get into it. I like these dual slates, like when there's 2 slates. I really don't like it though when like they start so close together. You know, like the early slate's still going to be going on when the main slate starts. They only do this, I feel like on the weekends, really. It's fun nonetheless, though. You got a couple different opportunities to make money.
Yeah, I do like that aspect of it. I agree with you. I would prefer it if we were a little bit more spread out. I guess a lot of people playing MMA this morning, so that'll still be going on. People have a full day of DFS with MMA, college football, 2 baseball slates. Man, what a day for DFSers. But I skipped the MMA. I'm skipping the college football. We'll stick with baseball today. All right. And if I get any of these pitchers wrong, I'm going to be reading off the pitchers based on Fantasy Cruncher. If you have different data, let me know. And same goes for chat. If you think I'm wrong about these pitchers, let me know, because it is pretty early. Sometimes this data updates later on. But first game, what I have is Atlanta at San Francisco. Max Fried on the mound for the Braves. Ryan Walker for the Giants. Are these pitchers? Do you have any interest in these pitchers, Matt?
Yeah, I certainly have some interest in Max Fried. He looks like, right. Glasnow and Gilbert look like the top 2 pitchers on the slate, price and matchup considered. Fried looks right below those guys. Don't think it's crazy at all to use him instead of one of those guys. I'm a big Max Fried fan. Really good stuff. Not like the best DFS pitcher because he doesn't have an insanely high K rate. Not, the best matchup either with San Fran, but it's not a bad matchup, and it's only a 5-game slate. So we're working with 10 pitchers here. A few of those guys you just have no interest in. So Fried is on the short list. Probably not where I would go like in cash games, but he's on that next list of guys.
Okay. You playing any of Walker?
No, Walker's just an opener. I'm seeing Sean Manaea supposed to come in after him. My problem with that is like we've seen Sean Manaea projected to come in a lot, and he hasn't come in. Now, he last pitched Monday, I believe, so it would make sense for him to pitch today. But like, certainly not really looking at him either in this spot against Atlanta. Yeah. I mean, so no thanks on the Giants pitchers.
Okay. What about the bets in this game? How much interest do you have in both sides?
I would say a lot of interest in the Braves. Honestly, the Braves last night was kind of an anomaly. They were in San Francisco in a night game facing, not like the best pitcher in baseball, but a very good pitcher in Logan Webb. They were middle of the board in our top stack tool. Almost never see that. I mean, it's been weeks, months since we've seen Atlanta not be right at the top. Today, they're still in San Francisco, so they're not like, they're not all the way at the top like they've been recently at home, but they're sitting third, with a 13.30%, with 13.3% chance to be the top stack, getting a little bit under 10% ownership. They look like my favorite tournament stack on the board. Them and the Dodgers look comparable as far as their top stack versus ownership. And honestly, these parks, San Fran is not a good park for hitting, but I much prefer going to Oakland, San Francisco during the day than at night.
And do you have any idea if Ozzy it looks like we don't know yet if Ozzy Albies is going to be back?
So I was looking that up. He was activated or he rejoined the team, but he's not expected to rejoin the lineup until after this series.
Okay. Good to know.
He would make their lineup look a lot better today because he is elite versus lefties too.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to not have him in there, especially since we're already fading the pitching on the opposite side. But
Yeah.
all right, how would you rank the four sides of this game?
I think it's, all Atlanta. I probably would go Braves first, then Fried, then, Giants, then the Giants pitcher. We don't even know who the Giants pitcher is. Even if we knew, we probably wouldn't be looking to get there. So,
Right.
Crazier things have happened than the Giants getting to Fried here. So I would put them third.
Okay. All right. Second game on the slate, we've got the Dodgers at the Red Sox. Julio Urias on the mound for the Dodgers, James Paxton for the Red Sox. What's your level of interest in the pitchers?
Slightly below Fried. So like tournament options, but neither guy you feel, really good about. Urias would be ahead of Paxton here. I don't mind Urias. The problem is the matchup's obviously not good against Boston. And a lot of Boston's best hitters are lefties, which is good for Urias, but he's had reverse splits throughout his entire career. So I'm not sure how good I feel about him in this spot. I certainly like him more than Paxton. They're in comparable price zones. Urias is a little bit more expensive at 82, Paxton at 73. It's like a no-go for Paxton for me here. He has not looked great lately, and it's a really tough matchup against LA. That said, I was talking a little bit about this with Greg yesterday, and I'm sure you can appreciate this thought. Sometimes knowing too much or watching too much or thinking you know too much can be the ultimate detriment. I think about when I play League of Legends DFS and I know nothing and I just use the tools. Just looking at the tools right here, James Paxton looks elite in tournaments. I remember you talking about it with Jordan Montgomery the other day, and you guys were talking what's the reason to play him, and you're like, the tools. That's the reason.
Yeah,
exactly. So I don't like it on paper. I don't feel good about it. But in tournaments, he looks like the best pitcher on the slate. He is a 15.8% chance of being a top two pitcher, only 6.8% ownership. It's rare to get that kind of leverage on a small slate. So do I think he pitches well here? No, but in tournaments, I'd be interested.
Yeah, I caught at least part of that conversation. I was prepping for the NFL show yesterday, but I think it's a really wise way of looking at things. You can really hurt yourself by knowing too much. And I know Sean likes to give me shit for not knowing baseball, and it's to some extent it's true. I don't know baseball nearly as well as I know football, basketball, the sports that I watch more religiously. But I've still had success at baseball, literally just using the tools. And I think
you know how to use the tools and you know how to make DFS lineups, which is way more important than knowing the little idiosyncrasies of the game. I know them. I watch a ton of baseball. I love them. Oftentimes, as you just mentioned, it's a detriment.
Yeah, and you hear I've you listen to several of the top pros, people who are way better than myself, don't even know who the players are. You watch Brian Hooper talking about he's like, who is this guy that I just drafted in best ball? I have no idea who this guy who I played in my lineups. You don't need to know all those idiosyncrasies. So sometimes, you just look at the tools, you see positive leverage. That is a great reason to play someone, even if, oh no, they've been bad the past 3 games, or they struggle against lefties, and this team has some good lefties, whatever. This is all factored in. This is all factored in already to the tools. So you really can hurt yourself by knowing too much, and then essentially you end up double counting. So if you're just using projections, using tools, they kind of do all the appropriate level of counting for you. So I agree with you. You can sometimes hurt yourself by knowing too much. All right. How about the bats in this game? You didn't talk about the bats yet, correct?
Yeah, the Dodgers almost look like a Coors team today, which is surprising. Paxton's a good pitcher. Don't really understand like why they're that far ahead of the pack as far as top stack goes. Like maybe that changes. Maybe, oftentimes we see early in the morning, if there's a pitching discrepancy or something like that, it can really make the top stack a little funky. So maybe there's something like that going on. That said, they are the Dodgers. They're in Fenway. They have a, way higher chance of being the top stack than any other team on the board. And their ownership is in line with the Mariners, the Marlins. The Red Sox are a little bit behind. So yeah, the Dodgers look great right now. I think it's a case where you've asked this question before. Can you be chalky and under-owned? It depends what your definition of chalky is, but this is a good example of a team that is going to be the most owned team on the slate, but probably still under-owned.
Yep, that makes sense. And by my definition of chalky, you can be chalky. In my opinion, chalky just means that you are high owned. I guess some people think chalky means over owned. So yeah, it does depend on your definition.
No, chalky just means high owned. Chalky in essence means popular. It doesn't that's what it means.
And you can be popular and under owned. So
yes, I guess just in using that, you're 100% right, because chalky does not mean over owned. It just means popular. It's not a word only used for DFS.
Right. Oh, good point. Good point. That's the second time this. We clicked on one of the. I have chat over there. I don't know. Maybe it's just. I'm going to blame it on being sick that I keep on clicking on these random countdowns in the middle of shows. Hadn't happened for months. All right. Did you talk about the Red Sox bats at all? Any interest there?
No, the Red Sox look solid for this slate, but it's mostly a talent play. I do consider Urias a better pitcher than Paxton. The Dodgers are a better lineup than Boston. They're getting a little bit less love than LA. So, from that sense, I get it. They're they're a tournament team on this slate. Personally, though, I'd rather get to Atlanta. Atlanta's more expensive. That's the reason why Atlanta isn't getting love, is because they're really expensive. This is a great spot to pay up to be contrarian, though. Our tools like Boston, they don't love them. I think they're a fine team to go with, not a priority.
Okay. And then I'm going to have you rank the four sides of the game.
We'll go Dodgers, Red Sox, Paxton, Urias. There he is.
All right, perfect.
I don't know why I keep saying that name wrong.
Is it? All right. I mean, I don't know how I say it, how it comes to me naturally, but I don't actually know how it's pronounced.
Well, I feel like it comes to me naturally, Julio Urias, but I keep saying Urias for some reason when I'm saying it to you. So I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. Ken Roddy asked, do we have ownership? Yeah, we have ownership in Fantasy, which I can see our ownership. So yeah, we seem to have ownership ready to go. All right. Kansas City at Seattle. Jordan Lyles on the mound for the Royals. Logan Gilbert for the Mariners. What's your level of interest in the pitchers?
Really high in Logan Gilbert. He looks like the second best pitcher on the slate, right behind Glass now. He is getting too much ownership. So in cash games, I think you just play him and Glass now. Tournaments, though, he is way over-owned per our tools. I mean, he's getting about as much love as Glass now with, not nearly the same top two pitcher percentage. He looks good here on paper. There's nothing to really not like. Kansas City has been more frisky lately over the past month. They haven't been one of the worst offenses in baseball. They're still not good, so you're not playing Gilbert because of that. The tools tell me I like Fried more than Gilbert in tournaments, but on paper, Gilbert's the stronger play. Just for, who do I expect to have the better result?
Okay. Well, you're not joining me tomorrow too, are you?
I'm not. Only because the contest it's really hard to, at the contest that locks at 135. Yeah. So I just don't want to be, you know what I mean? I feel like it'd be a disservice to you if I were, you know what I'm saying?
No, you should focus on. The only reason I asked is because I was going to find the link for the show, and I see tomorrow's show in there, and it has Neil Orfield and Matthew Belman listed, and I was like, oh, that would be a pleasant surprise. But no, you should absolutely focus on your contest tomorrow, because that's two in 125 chance to win 500,000. Yeah, that should absolutely.
Honestly, though, it is only two lineups, so can probably get them done before. I don't know. We'll talk after about it.
No, don't worry about it. Okay. I literally only asked because it's been my understanding all along that I'm solo. I saw the description and I thought, oh, maybe I'm surprised. Okay.
Where's EMAC?
EMAC is, I believe he's also traveling somewhere. Oh. Or he is traveling somewhere, I should say. I don't know where, but I believe that was the reason that EMAC couldn't join this weekend. All right. How about the bats in this Kansas City Seattle game? What's your level of interest there?
Yeah, you got Jordan Lyles on one side of it, so I understand why Seattle is getting love. It's interesting to me that the Dodgers have such a higher top stack percentage, facing Paxton than the Mariners do Lyles. Obviously ballpark upgrade for the Dodgers. The Mariners are getting them and the Marlins look like the two teams that are getting too much love for this early slate. So again, in cash games, if you're playing cash, I think you want a lot of the Marlins and the Mariners. In tournaments, I don't know. I get it. It's Jordan Lyles. He's not good. But our tools say they're coming in over-owned. And I, Atlanta's a better offense than Seattle. and they're coming in under-owned with basically the same top stack percentage. So I think they look really good on paper. They just got to Jordan Lyles last week in Kansas City. That's fresh in people's minds. Lyles is not good. He's one of the worst pitchers in baseball. So, on paper, they look really good here. But baseball's going to baseball. So in tournaments, I think that I'm likely to get off them.
Okay. How would you rank the four sides of the game?
Gilbert, Mariners, probably Royals, Lyles.
Okay. All right. I just posted in chat the link to sign up at Caesars if you haven't already done so and you want to give it a shot. Let me throw this up on screen real quick too. And this one is going to be intentional. When you see something pop up on screen, this time I meant to do it. I just have to find it first. So here we go. All right. You bet $50 on Caesars. So if you're new to Caesars, obviously you have to be new to the sports book. If sports betting is legal where you live, you haven't signed up for Caesars, highly recommend signing up for Caesars right now, because their deal right now is you bet $50, you get $250 in bonus bets. Those are going to come in $50 increments over the course of 5 weeks. But fantastic deal. It's not just like you put $50 in, they match that. That's always a great deal too, but this is 5xing the amount that you're putting in. Fantastic deal here at Caesars. Highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already. You need to be 21 plus to gamble in most states. You or somebody you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. But just wanted to remind you guys that we have that fantastic deal. You should check it out if you haven't already done so. All right. We can move on. 2 more games on this early slate. Washington at Miami coming up next. Clayton Eskew says Neil will be totally delirious by tomorrow. I feel like I'm better today than I was yesterday, but by the end of the show tomorrow, doing all the talking for an hour straight is absolutely going to be a little bit rough for me. I was planning on actually doing an 8-hour best ball marathon show tomorrow. Like that was in the books for me to do tomorrow. And then yesterday I was like, yeah, there is no way I'm gonna be able to talk for 8 hours straight. 1 hour is gonna be pushing it. 8 hours is not gonna happen. So gonna postpone that a little bit, unfortunately. All right, there were other. EMAC Clayton says EMAC going back and forth between Virginia and Florida. Yeah, I know EMAC is in the process of moving his stuff. I didn't realize that was where he was going, but yeah, that makes sense. And in case I didn't say it, if you want to take advantage of that Caesars offer, yeah, I just pinned it into chat. It's also in the description of this video if you're watching after the fact. All right, next game we have Washington at Miami. Jake Irvin on the mound for the Nationals. Uri Perez for the Marlins. What's your level of interest there?
No interest in Jake Irvin, really. I mean, per our tools, he looks okay. I'd rather get to Paxton, though, if I were going to be playing, contrarian pitcher. That said, he's right behind Paxton. Him, Julio Urias, and Jake Irvin are the pitchers really getting leverage on this slate. Not counting Sean Manaea because, we're not even positive he pitches, although you could lump him in there as well. Based on, the contrarian side of me, I think Irvin looks okay here, especially with Miami getting so much love. But Uri Perez is the real pitcher we want to talk about here. He looks really similar to Fried for me. So they both have about a 25% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Perez is getting a little bit more ownership. It makes sense. He's in a better matchup against Washington in a better, similar park, but probably a better park in Miami. And he's $1,000 cheaper. So I think they look very comparable. Those 2 guys are the guys behind Glasnow and Gilbert. Would have no problem going to Perez or Fried. I think Irvin's a 150 max type guy. Like if you're playing single entry, you're not using Irvin, but getting some sprinkles of him in large fields makes some sense, especially with the Marlins getting so much love today. They're the most owned team on this. Well, they're right behind the Dodgers and Mariners is the most owned team on the slate.
Okay. What's your level of interest in the bats in this game?
The Nationals, not much. The only reason I think you're playing the Nationals is because they're not going to get much love. And, Perez is kind of popular, but on paper, they don't look really good. The Marlins look middle of the road here. They're getting a lot of ownership, and it's because they have a 15.7% chance to be the top value stack. Irvin's not very good. I get that. Like, they look really good as filler options with, Gilbert and Glasnow pairing, which is what people are going to do. Talking about this more, I guess I understand why the Dodgers aren't getting a lot of love because there are some pretty bad pitchers on this slate. Miami just looks overowned to me. Like, this is not a team, just looking at our tools in tournaments, this is a team that I would probably get away from, knowing that they do look pretty good here. I mean, there's a reason they have a 10% chance to be the top stack. Irvin's not very good. Just relatively, they're getting way too much ownership.
Yep. Oh, Malakar. Mark D says, shout out to Malakar for the free membership yesterday. Woke up and came back here to make sure it wasn't a dream. That's awesome. Good for Malakar. William, so is this game not on the main slate? Cleveland and Toronto, is that not on the DraftKings slate? William was wondering if we could rank that one. Maybe we should come back to that one after we're done with the the early slate. Does that sound make sense to you?
Cleveland, Toronto is, yeah, they play at a weird time. They play at 3:07. It's not on the slate. Yeah, I'm good to rank that if you want.
All right. Do you want to do that now?
Oh, yeah, sure. Just like rank the four sides.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's Logan Allen versus Hyun-Jin Ryu. Really tough spot for Logan Allen there. Ryu isn't as good as Allen. This is a tough one. You could really rank these sides however you want. I think as far as upside goes, probably Toronto bats 1, Logan Allen 2, Cleveland bats 3, Ryu 4.
Okay. I
think the upside comes from either Logan Allen or the Blue Jays bats, personally.
Okay. Andrew suggesting that we can you could play Paxton and Irvin and stack the Braves, couple of cheaper pitchers. Yeah. One way.
I feel like
right there.
You could do that, but you're also, I don't think you need to go on an island everywhere, right? Like,
right.
Paxton's going to be really low owned. Irvin's going to be really low owned. The Braves are going to be low owned. Now, the Braves are going to be low owned because of their pricing. But the reason that Irvin and Paxton are going to be low owned is because they're not great plays on paper. So, like, I think you could probably get away with just using one of them. Although, that said, like, if the Dodgers fail and the Marlins fail and you have Irvin and Paxton, you're in a really good spot. So I get the logic behind it. Not sure you need it, but I certainly get it.
Yeah, it's more contrarian than you necessarily need to be, but certainly, yeah, something that could work out there.
Also, like, depends what contest. Like in the 15, I think that works.
Yep.
And, a 500 person contest, no.
Not necessary in that field. Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, it's a large field GPP kind of play only. All right. Did you already rank the four sides of this Marlins game?
No, I think you got to go Marlins bats first, Perez second. I'm going to go Irvin third, Nationals fourth. This is like a little glimpse into the slate tomorrow, though, just because I've been looking at it all week. Trevor Williams pitches for Washington tomorrow. Like, Miami's going to be popular. Like, I can just tell from looking at this right now.
Yeah. So they're going to be that's going to be one of your decision points tomorrow. Are you going to be playing the popular Marlins? Interesting. All right. Final game of this early slate. New York at Tampa. Clark Schmidt on the mound for the Yankees. Tyler Glasnow for the Rays. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Really, really high in Glasnow. He's one of the best DFS pitchers in baseball with one of the highest strikeout rates. He didn't pitch well last time out. He got undone by a bunch of BABIP. Some balls got hit, got put into play, and that'll happen in baseball. Starters aren't going to be like their ace selves every start.
Right.
He didn't have his best stuff, and he wasn't able to like overcome it. It's okay. He's still got an insanely high strikeout rate. The Yankees lineup has gotten better with Judge. Obviously, he's elite, but it's still really weak. The bottom half of it at least. So he looks like the best pitcher on the slate. He's getting too much love, based on our tools. But I also don't care about it that much with like high-end pitchers, just because the variance in MLB really lies in hitters. Unless you get a complete game shutout, no hitter, like the pitching is usually within range. I think Glasnow is on the upper end of that range with his strikeout upside. So I'm willing to go a little bit, with the ownership there. Feel much better about him than I do Gilbert. I think he looks like the best pitcher on the slate. And it's not particularly close.
Okay. Are you playing any Yankees against Glasnow?
Probably not. Our tools have them over-owned. We only have them with a 4.7% chance of being the top stack. They're still getting 5% ownership. It makes sense. I mean, they have hitters in their lineup who, on a 5-game slate, can completely alter the outcome. Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, specifically Judge, who has always been good against righties, big-time power. The problem is, like, all the Yankees' best hitters are righties, which just feeds into, Glasnow's strength. So I really struggle to see the Yankees here. Like maybe if they were 4 points, if they were at like right now, they're about a 5% chance to be the top stack. Maybe if they were getting like 1% ownership, but they're projected to get 5 times that. So not even the tools say they're a good play. No, thank you for me.
All right. What about the Rays here against Clark Schmidt?
I do like the Rays a lot. They're a little bit lower than I thought they'd be in our top stack tool. Only a 7.5% chance to be in that top stack, but 5.7% ownership. They're getting basically the same amount of love as the Yankees because of their price tags. There's quite a few offenses on this slate for only being a 5-gamer that look good because there's some bad pitching options. I do like Tampa, though. This is another team, and I know you guys talk about this a lot. Like, what does it look like when these teams score runs? When Tampa scores runs, they hit home runs and they run. Not a good ballpark in Tampa, but they've got lefty power. Schmidt has been very, let's just say he has not been impervious to getting hit from guys from the left side. So I do like Tampa here. I think there's no reason they should be like the lowest owned team on the slate, which is what they're basically projecting to be. Them, the Yankees, and the Royals. Like the Yankees are facing Glass now. The Royals are facing Gilbert. The Rays are facing Clark Schmidt. Like one of those is not like the others. Give me Tampa here.
Okay. And how would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Glass now, Tampa. I think there's a lot of leverage in the Yankees, so probably the Yankees and then Schmidt.
Okay.
Because I will say, like, even with our top stack tool, like there's no, we have them over-owned. But if you go to the Yankees and they do well, you're taking out pretty much all the Glass now lineups, and they're still like the lowest owned team on the slate.
Right.
So I
get
it.
Even though we have negative leverage, there's still reason to go there. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So I'm going to ask you on this slate to give me your 3 favorite pitchers, 3 favorite stacks, and a home run pick. But first, since we're talking about Glass now, I want to know if you have seen Oppenheimer.
I have not. No.
Oh, Glasnow's twin. Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Cillian Murphy. I forget how. I don't even know how to pronounce.
I've seen the meme a ton.
Yeah, they look very similar.
They do. I've seen that meme, and they do look alike. I have not seen it. Have you seen it?
I have. I really liked it. I've seen mostly positive reviews. One person whose opinions I respect on these things really hated it. So like I went into it like not really having extremely high expectations. I really liked it. I will say, in my opinion, Oppenheimer comes off as a pretty sympathetic character, and from everything I've heard, like one of the friends that I went to it with immediately after was like, yeah, I listened to a podcast on Oppenheimer. They really make him sound a lot better than he was in real life. But I haven't read anything. I don't know much about Oppenheimer as a person in real life, but I thought that was, probably true. Like they want to make him more simple. Like it wouldn't be as good of a movie if he's just an asshole. Like if you have nobody to cheer for, like, so they kind of made him somewhat sympathetic, at least somebody you cheer for a little bit. But I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it. But
I'm trying to think about the last time we went to the movies. Like we've, it's been a while. Let's just say that.
Yeah. All right. You're not regular moviegoers?
Definitely not. We will go to the movies here and then. We've gone through spurt. We went through a spurt like, right after we got married, so like 7 years ago at this point, where we were going to like seeing a movie every weekend at a different theater, like at the different theater around Cleveland, just to experience them all. So we did that for a while. We like watching movies on Netflix and stuff, but I wouldn't consider myself a movie buff. Never have been. Always enjoyed going to the movies, but just kind of just like a social thing. So I'm sure we'll watch it, but when it's out on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, I like watching movies, but yeah, we haven't been to a movie right before, like December before COVID. So I guess 2019. I bought my wife as part of her Christmas, as part of her stocking. I bought her a $75 gift certificate to a place called Alamo Theaters. I don't know if you have them where you are. They're a national thing, but it's where you can like order food at your seats, and like there's huge seats, really nice. But just bought her a $5 gift card, and then of course COVID came and they shut down the theaters and all that kind of stuff. So we still haven't used it, and no idea at this point if it has expired or anything like that.
That's funny. Maybe I will say, like, I'm the type. We have one of those around here too. I can't think of what it's called. It's not called that, but it's high end. You can order food to your seats, etc. I'm like a simpleton. When I go to the movies, I want popcorn and a Coke. And when I go to a baseball game, like I don't want all that foo-foo stuff. I just want a hot dog. That's all I want. Yep. I'm a simpleton in that regard. I am very fussy in other aspects of life, but movies and baseball games, I'm a simpleton.
Yeah, no, I'm I'm largely a simpleton too, but movies I think I've been persuaded to the idea of just like,
I get that.
we're gonna go to the movie and like have the meal there instead of going out beforehand. I could go either way, to be honest.
Nice.
I do enjoy the like dinner before the movie kind of thing too, but it's kind of cool to have the at least the option of just like ordering food to your place. Phil still says Cine Bistro. That's what it's called. Yeah, that's a good name for I've never heard that term, but that is exactly what it is. If you guys haven't noticed, I discovered this past week, I think it was on a stream with Spags, who does a lot of streaming, how to put comments on the screen. So this is all brand new to me. So if it looks like I'm playing around with it more than I should on these streams, it's because it's new to me. Being able to show what people are saying on the screen, really fun. But I'm probably going overboard with how many comments I'm showing. I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it evolves. All right. So on this early slate, Matt, 3 favorite stacks.
3 favorite stacks are going to be the Dodgers. For me personally, the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Rays. And, if I were playing cash games, it would be the Mariners and the Marlins.
3 favorite pitchers.
Paxton, Gilbert, Fried. Urias, or not Urias. Perez and Fried look similar, but I give the slight notch to Fried.
Home run pick.
Brandon Lau.
So we don't have, as everybody knows, I usually just look at the top.
I don't cheat like you anyways. Yeah. I picked Ellie Harris Montero because my logic is like, I know you said you don't get credit for picking bad randoms. Yeah. Like, what do you even get if you get it right anyways? It's just for fun. So
that is true. unless you're betting on it, in which case you do get credit for picking randoms because you're gonna have better odds. So yeah, you get extra street cred. But I just want to have hit the most often. So I just go with the easy guys. Unfortunately, the top batters tool doesn't give me home run odds for the early slate, so I have to just go off my intuition. And I think I'm gonna go with Julio Rodriguez is my home run pick.
I was going to say, I would either him or Acuna's got to be the top guy.
Yeah. Though, yeah, Acuna is our top projected play that I thought about. No, sorry, Betts is. I thought about going to Betts also, but I like Julio Rodriguez here. Yeah, nice. Kevin says you get 3 Judge nukes. Yeah, I cheated, went with Aaron Judge, and he had 3 homers that day, so that was pretty fun. All right.
That was awesome.
Let's move on to the main slate. We got 8 more games to talk about here on the main slate. Let me pull that up. First game that we have on the main slate, Colorado at Baltimore. We got Chris Flexen on the mound for the Rockies, Kyle Bradish for the Orioles. What's your level of interest in the pitchers?
Really high on Bradish, really low on Flexen. Bradish, price considered, he looks like arguably the top pitcher on the slate. Ownership is there. He's getting the most amount of ownership. Fully expected that. Right now, he's got a 23% chance to be a top 2 pitcher on the slate. He's only slightly behind the likes of Wheeler, Scherzer, Peralta. Now, a lot of that is the matchup, but that's not even price considered. That's just saying, will he be a top 2 pitcher on the slate? Like, yeah, he's getting too much love in our tools, but this is one, kind of talked about on the early slate. There's so many ways to get different on a slate of this size with offenses. I don't mind eating a little bit of ownership. Like, strictly by the tools, he is getting too much love, but I can find ways around that. He looks great here. Yep. I think that the ownership is justified. Colorado stinks, especially out of Coors. He's been really good. He looks great here. He looks like arguably the top pitcher on the slate. Chris Flexen, is the complete opposite. He might be the worst pitcher on the slate in a really tough spot against Baltimore. How about this? He's only 1% owned and 10 times more owned than his top 2 pitchers percentage would indicate.
Wait, he's how owned?
He's only 1% owned, and that's 10 times higher than his top 2 pitcher says he'll be.
We have a 0.1.
Yes.
Oh no. All right.
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen
not
that.
the best play. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
No, not
that's
the best.
Pretty low odds. All right. Good point, Clayton. Too many people in here for only 58 likes. Yeah, please hit that like button if you haven't already done so. It does help us out quite a bit. All right. With Flexen being apparently like the worst pitcher we've ever seen, Baltimore has a 5.5 run implied total. What's your level of interest in the bats in this game?
There are a few teams with over 5 run implied totals today, so it's not like they stand out because of that. But They personally look like the top stack on the board to me. They're our top stack, slightly ahead of the Cubs, ahead of the Angels. As far as ownership goes, like they're getting around similar ownership as the Angels, as the A's, as the White Sox. Like the White Sox and A's suck. The Angels are like on the verge of sucking. I know Greg talked a lot last night how they're like, what are they really playing for? And, I agree to a certain extent with that. I don't know how much you can really take that into consideration from like a day-to-day basis. The point is that Baltimore's clearly the best offense out of those teams. They are more expensive, but they look like the top stack on the board. You don't usually, I wouldn't, except for Atlanta, you don't usually see the top stack also getting leverage, also being a leverage spot. I love when I see that. So Baltimore looks great here.
Yeah, Baltimore looks really good. And you, maybe, I don't even know if you said it, but I assume you don't have a ton of interest in Colorado.
No. Now, I went there a little bit last night against Cole Irvin, who I think is considerably worse than Kyle Bradish. They ended up scoring 4 runs. They weren't awful, didn't do enough on the slate. Here, they are coming in with a little bit of leverage, and there is, the going against Bradish viewpoint. I think there's better spots to get to on the slate.
Okay. And how would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Bradish and Baltimore are really close up top. I think you could put them however you want. Then I would say I'd actually go Colorado over Flexen. Like, I would go Colorado over Flexen. I mean, the thing with Colorado is Bradish is in a really good spot and he's very affordable, but he's still not a known commodity. Like, no one's going to be as shocked if he gets hit around a little bit. Hard to see the Colorado stack going off, but I don't know. Between them and Flexen, give me them.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. All right. Second game on this main slate, we have Los Angeles at New York. Chase Silseth on the mound for the Angels. Carlos Carrasco for the Mets. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
None in Carrasco. Silseth is intriguing at that price point in tournaments. Tough spot against the Mets, though. They don't strike out a lot. They've got power. So not really interested in Silseth. And then Carrasco is just a no. He is on his last legs. He's like, on the Adam Wainwright trajectory, not quite as bad, but similar. The Angels look great here. I understand why they're getting love. I don't have any interest in the pitching options in this game.
All right. How about the bats?
Yeah, Angels look good. Like I said, they're getting slightly more ownership than Baltimore. Who knows how it plays out, but they're going to be owned like the Orioles. I do like Baltimore more. They have a higher top stack percentage. They're a better lineup. Carrasco also stinks, though, so I get why the Angels are getting ownership. They do look really good here. I'm not sure why we have the Cubs ahead of them. Like, I personally, like, if I were just doing this off the cuff, would have the Angels ahead of the Cubs. That said, the Cubs really stand out to me as like a tournament play tonight, which we'll get to. But like when I look at this slate just from like a bird's eye perspective, I'm like, oh, the Angels are facing Carrasco and the Orioles are facing Flexen. Those are the 2 top stacks on the board. So they do look really good here.
How would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Go Angels. Probably Mets. They do have power and they run. Then Silseth, then Carrasco.
All right. Third game we have here, Oakland at Chicago. JP Sears on the mound for the A's. Touki Toussaint for the White Sox. Any interest in these pitchers?
Tournament interest for sure. Like, it's not something you feel good about, but Sears with an 8.8% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, only 2.8% ownership. Toussaint it's weird. Both Toussaint and Oakland are getting too much love, so I'd probably just stay away from both of them. Like, I get it. Toussaint is really cheap at $7K facing a not good Oakland offense, but Oakland's also really cheap facing Touki Toussaint. So people are like flooding to both sides of that game. You don't see that often. I'll probably stay away from both sides there. From a tournament perspective, I do like Sears here, like quite a bit.
You do like Sears quite a bit? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll get to the ranking part later on. Whether he's going to be in that top 3, we'll find out. What about the bats in this game? What's your level of interest?
The bats look good in cash games, but in tournaments they're getting too much love. Oakland getting 10% ownership. The White Sox, the highest owned team on the slate, getting 12%. It's a price thing. These are the 2 two teams with the highest chances of being the top value team. And like it's a similar story today. I know Oakland got to cease yesterday. They're not good. I'm not using a popular Oakland. Same with the White Sox. Like I feel similarly about them as I did last night. Sears and Waldichuk, or I don't know who pitched for Oakland last night. Was it Waldichuk?
Ooh, I don't remember.
Or did he pitch the day before?
I feel like he pitched the day before.
So do I. I can't remember who it was though, but it's like a similar spot. Like Sears is not bad. He came over in the Frankie Montas trade. It's not like he's been good this year, but he hasn't been a gas can. The White Sox stink. Like this is not a team, and I do prefer them against lefties, but this is not a team I ever want to use when they're getting like this much ownership. I made this point to Greg yesterday, and this is how I feel about them again today. When I use a team like the White Sox, I want my path to the top to be clear. Like when they go off, I want to basically know that I'm going to have a good night. You don't even know that here because they're going to be popular. All their guys are going to get love, especially the top of their lineup. I'd much rather use them as like filler pieces, like a Tim Anderson leading off. But from the tournament side of me says I like Sears more than either of these offenses. As I said about Toussaint, like both Oakland and Toussaint are getting too much love. I hope that he just has like a medium outcome.
Okay. If you didn't see, Clayton says Matt's advice on fading the White Sox yesterday was the best I've gotten all week. Good example of chalk being overowned. Yeah, that worked out. Nice call there. All right. How would you?
I would say though, like you can't just say because like they didn't work out, they were overowned. Like, you know what I mean?
Sure. Yep.
Like they didn't work out, and I don't even know what their ownerships ended up being though.
Right. Yeah. I mean that's a good point. Like just you can't be reactionary to what did actually happen. Like still doesn't mean like people come in all the time like you said to play this guy and he didn't do well, so he was a bad play. Doesn't mean he was a bad play. It means it didn't work out. That's a completely different question. All right. How would you rank the four sides of this game?
I'm going to do these two different rankings. In tournaments, give me Sears, Toussaint, White Sox, Oakland. In cash games, I think it's White Sox, Oakland, Toussaint, Sears.
All right. We are 3 down, 5 more to go on the main slate. San Diego at Milwaukee is next. Pedro Avila on the mound for the Padres. Freddie Peralta for the Brewers. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Decent amount in Freddie Peralta. I prefer the guys around Peralta a little bit more. It's still not a good matchup against San Diego. I know that Brandon Woodruff pitched well yesterday. I just trust Woodruff a lot more than I do Peralta. That's one of those things that probably a detriment to me. You know, watching these guys pitch for a long time, I feel safer with Woodruff. Peralta is having a really good year. Looking at his game log right now, he's in great form. He just threw up a 33 DraftKings performance at Texas. Like that's a tougher spot than he has here today. His ownership is right in line with his top 2 pitcher percentage. Like Peralta looks good here. At this point, I think the Padres offense is more names than anything. They've really not had a great year. Ton of righties in this lineup. The more I look at it, the more I actually like Peralta. He's, it looks like Wheeler, Scherzer, Peralta, and Bradish are the top 4 pitchers on the slate, and then a big drop off. And I see it that way as well.
Okay. How would you, how much interest do you have in the bats, if any, in this game?
I don't know about, first let me touch on Pedro Avila. I'm not sure exactly what, he's not going to throw a full outing anyways. He's cheap, but no thanks there. As far as the bats go, San Diego's coming in with a lot of leverage. I always like teams like San Diego because when they score runs, they have a ton of power and they hit home runs. Tough spot against Peralta. We've seen Peralta get hit before, so wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. Between the two teams, I think Milwaukee looks slightly better in cash games, even though they're pretty low on the list as well. San Diego would be the tournament team. These teams are almost identical as far as their top stack percentage. Milwaukee's getting 5% ownership. San Diego's getting 2% because Milwaukee has a 5% chance to be the top value stack while San Diego only has a 1%. These teams are kind of off the reservation for me. Like if I were making 150, I'd want a little exposure, but I can't imagine I'm going to be prioritizing either of them here.
Okay. Makes sense. How would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Peralta, easy 1. Probably Brewers 2, Padres 3, Avila 4.
All right. Halfway through this main slate now. I do want to tell you guys, we're not going to have a chance to really look closely at the Sims, but they have been absolutely crushing it. I would highly recommend checking out the Sims if you haven't already. Just pulled up a tweet from Sean Geezy, said, had to take a week off for work, but managed to sneak in some late lineups after my flight landed. Sims tool can't be stopped. Sean took down first place in the contest for $1,000 yesterday. Also saw Jay Kari, our own Jay Kari, took down the mini max yesterday for $5,000. Really good to see that. Jake, I don't think Jake had been playing MLB. Like, I think he had taken a break for a little while before the Sims came out. I think he had just kind of started focusing more on hockey and his work and stuff. Sims come out and Jake has been absolutely crushing MLB. I could be wrong. Maybe he was playing the whole time and I just didn't realize it. But Jake used to do actually MLB content for us, got out of the content game. Now he's just playing and absolutely crushing it. But he is using the Sims tool religiously and crushing with the Sims tool. If you haven't checked it out, I mean, you can enter up to 10,000 lineups now. So that's a big improvement, in my opinion, being able to actually enter up to 10,000 lineups, because you can really try to make a contest that looks like the field. Even if you're in a large field contest, you can put in up to 10,000 lineups. You can also put the percent to first, so change the type of contest you're playing. Really cool tool. And for the Sims tool, you can do every type of slate. So it's the early slate, main slate, whatever you want to play, you can do on the Sims tool. So check it out if you have not already done so. You've seen a lot of people, and of course, I didn't even mention CEO Tom Kennedy has been also absolutely crushing it with the Sims tool. So I just want to give a quick shout out there, since we had two wins just yesterday using the Sims tool. I would recommend doing so. I'll throw the link into chat as well. But first, I want to tee you up for the next game, Matt, being Chicago at Pittsburgh. Javier Assad on the mound for the Cubs. Colin Selby for the Pirates. Any interest in these pitchers?
Is Colin Selby an opener? Oh, yeah.
Somebody said somebody in chat said Beto is pitching.
Yeah, Beto's coming in as the one of these guys. So I don't know, man. Like, saw this yesterday. Like, I don't understand why the Cubs are so high in our top stack tool, but they look like the best tournament stack on the board just based on the tools. I don't get in Pittsburgh why, like, they're ahead of the Angels, facing Carrasco, right in line with Baltimore facing Flexen. But this is one, like, I don't really want to argue with the tools here. They've got a ton of power. They do run. Not the greatest ballpark, but the tools love them in tournaments. They, right now, just looking at this, they're the top tournament stack on the board.
Okay.
Like, everyone knows, I mean, I'm not reinventing the wheel by looking at Baltimore and seeing they're in a good spot against Flexen, the Angels in a good spot against Carrasco. I understand why the Cubs aren't getting as much love as those teams. I just don't really understand why they're right with them as far as top stack percentage. But hey, like, there's a reason I'm not making the tools, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, they do a good job with the tools. So we just have to trust them a little bit. All right. How would you rank the four sides of the game, or do you have anything else you wanted to say about the bats, or is that kind of all you needed to say?
Pittsburgh actually is getting ownership. They're middle of the stack and top stack percentage, but they're getting 9% ownership because of their price tags. They're cheap, facing an unknown in Javier Assad. They look like the White Sox and A's to me. Like, they'll probably get a little bit less love because they haven't, been popping off lately. Assad is, I guess a little bit better than the pitchers in that game, but they're all on the same tier for me. Not a team I'm looking to in tournaments. It'd be the Cubs here. Assad himself, no thanks. There's just other pitching options I like more.
Okay, makes sense. How would you rank the four sides of the game?
Cubs, probably Pirates, Assad, then Beto. All
right. We will move on. 3 games left to do on this main slate. And I put a link into chat for anybody who wants to check out the Sims tool. $180 a month, which seems like a lot until you realize that you kind of need, we're getting to the point where you kind of need to use some Sims, or it gives you a big advantage if you do use them. So if you're playing any kind of volume, I think $180 a month is a very, very fair deal for the Sims tool. All right. 3 games left. Texas at Minnesota. Max Scherzer on the mound for the Rangers. Joe Ryan for the Twins. What's your level of interest in the pitchers?
High in Scherzer. He's coming in with a little bit of leverage in our top pitcher tool. Now his ownership and top 2 pitcher percentage is right there with Wheeler, Peralta, and Bradish. Those 4 guys look like the top guys on the slate. Bradish is getting, the far and away the most loved because of his price tag. So I don't think like using Scherzer and Wheeler or Scherzer and Peralta is crazy at all. It's just hard. Those guys are really expensive. I think you choose one of those and pair him with Bradish. Scherzer looks good. He's expensive at $12K. Minnesota does strike out a ton. They've got power, especially from the left side, so it's not the safest spot in the world. But, Scherzer has, despite his last start not being very well, he's looked more and more like the Scherzer of old. I think I prefer Wheeler at a slightly less expensive price tag, similar numbers, in our tools, but they're close. I think it's really close between him, Peralta, and Wheeler. And I think you can make a strong case for any of them. The ownership doesn't really do much for me as far as like differentiating them.
Okay. What about the bats in this game?
Well, first, Joe Ryan. I know he's making his first start. He was out for a little while. He's a 15% chance to be a top pitcher, basically 15% ownership. He's expensive at 9.6 in a tough spot against Texas. No interest there. The bats in this game are a little bit enticing from the Texas side. Ryan's not a guy that you like want to go out of your way to pick on, but it's his first start in a minute. Who knows how long his workload's going to be. So like from that aspect, they're also really good. I get it. Problem with Texas is like, man, their top hitters are so expensive. Like them and the Padres have the lowest chance to be in the top value stack on the board. So I don't know. You kind of got to know what you're getting into there. It's really hard to prioritize them because Ryan is a good pitcher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Upside, so I get it from that aspect, but not really a team I'm prioritizing. And then Minnesota, no.
Even with the we see some positive leverage here, but it's still you're going to find other positive leverage spots you prefer.
Yeah, I think Minnesota, like from a 150 standpoint, looks like a team. They're only getting 2.6% ownership, so maybe you get like 5% and you're double the field there. It's not a team I'd want to be like crazy overweight on. They do look a lot like, as I mentioned, Peralta, Wheeler, Scherzer, and Bradish, the top four pitchers. All the offenses facing them are coming in with a little bit of leverage. Padres, sure. Cardinals, Twins, Rockies. This is a tricky one because like I'd much rather pick on Bradish than the other three pitchers, but the Rockies are so bad. I think with those teams, my favorite would be the Padres. They're also the most expensive. So it's like all four of those teams do look like decent in the tools. They're also really hard to get to.
That's fair. All right. How would you rank the four sides of the game?
Scherzer 1, probably Ryan 2 because hitting's really hard. Rangers 3, Twins a distant 4.
Okay.
The point on the Twins, though, I think you're better off like using a Max Kepler one-off, using a Wallner one-off than full stacking. I've seen crazier things than Scherzer getting blown up, but like I said, they don't look different than the Cardinals, Padres, and Rockies. But I do like their one-offs more, like a Max Kepler.
Okay. That's good. That's a good note. All right. 2 games left on this main slate. Excuse me. St. Louis at Philadelphia. Excuse me. Dakota Hudson on the mound for the Cardinals. Zach Wheeler for the Phillies. What's your level of interest in these pitchers, Matt?
Very high in Wheeler. I'm a huge Wheeler fan. He's one of the top pitchers in baseball. He's our top pitcher as far as top 2 pitcher percentage goes. You don't see that often against St. Louis, but you see it today. Ownership, right in line, getting a little bit less love than he should be getting. Tough spot against St. Louis and that they don't strike out. This is also a team with full of right-handed hitters. You much prefer them against lefties. I like the $400 off from Scherzer. I think Wheeler's. If I were to make you one lineup right now, I think it would be Wheeler Bradish.
Nice. All right, that is a strong endorsement of Zach Wheeler. How much interest in the bats in this game?
First, let me just hit on Hudson. He is coming in with some leverage, 6.8% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 1% ownership. He looks like Sears to me. I like Sears more, though. So that's the guy I would go to in that spot. Much more afraid of the Philly offense than the White Sox offense. As far as the offenses go in this game, no interest in St. Louis. They're in the San Diego tier. A lot of interest in Philly. Like the team, we've talked about the St. Louis and San Diego's of the world. So those teams are expensive, hard to get to. Philly is expensive, but they're in a much better spot than those teams. They're facing Dakota Hudson. So that's why their ownership is higher. That said, they're still getting a good amount of leverage in our top stack tool, similar to what we saw last night against Miles Nicholas. Hudson does not strike anyone out. You're getting a lineup full of power hitting from the right and left side. Philly looks really good here, and they're not getting as much love as they probably should. So we have them fourth in our top stack tool, like middle of the road in ownership. They're definitely a team I think you can prioritize.
Travis Long says, Matt, love your insight. And then he put in quotes, but the problem is that a Mattism? Is that something that you say all
Am I
the time?
saying that
but the
too much?
problem is, I don't know. I haven't noticed if it is, but that's one of those things. Like, we all have those things that we say a lot, and eventually chat picks up on them. I'm not sure if that is one that you say. I have not noticed you saying that a lot. My assumption is that's something you say, or that's something that you said that Travis caught. But I'm not sure. Do you have any? Do you know of any of like ticks that you have, like your go-to phrases off the top of your head, or does chat have any format that you think he says a lot?
I used to say cog in the machine all the time, so that's one that I don't know if I've brought it up lately, but I used to say that all the time. Man, I'm trying to think, do I really say what the problem is? I now that he said that, I'm like consciously thinking I have said that a lot, so I'll try to work on it. It's really hard though. As someone who does a lot of live content or a ton of even not live content, it's hard. Like you're just talking, right? So it's hard to catch those little things that you might do.
No, I don't think it's something you need to work on. I don't even know. I didn't totally understand what the comment was. I just wanted to put it out there because it's important that you get in your own head. So I'm just trying to have you be in your own head. So now you're always going to be thinking about what you're saying. One of my favorite comments ever was Benny Levine here early when I started doing the NFL shows with Greg. And I don't remember what the phrase was, but I referenced the tools a lot. I think even early on, I referenced them even more than I do now. But Benny made a comment, something like, I'm being held hostage and they're beating me every time you say the tools say, or something like that. It was pointed out in a funny way. One of the comments that or one of the phrases that I use frequently. So that's one that I've phased out a little bit, but I'm pretty reliant on the tools. So not entirely, but just wanted to curious to hear if you have any ticks in your phrasing or something, or just phrases that you have that you go to all the time, but not something that I've noticed. Benny says, I'm sure I do.
I just can't think of them off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, we all do. Like we all have the phrases that we use more than everybody else, no doubt. Nice Kevin says though that he has never heard it before. So maybe I'm misinterpreting what Travis was saying there. Maybe you said it once. I don't know exactly what he's saying. All right.
I've certainly said it. Now that he said it, like, but the problem is like they're already getting the love or whatever it is. I don't know, but yeah, it's always funny to read comments and stuff. So yeah, I'll think about that the next time I say it probably.
Yeah, good. I'm in your head then, or you're in your head. Really, the important thing. All right, final game of this main. You already ranked the four sides, right, of the St. Louis game.
I don't know if I did, but either way, it's Wheeler, Phillies. I guess based on our tools, Hudson, then Cardinals.
All right. Final game of this main slate, we have Cincinnati at Arizona. Fernando Cruz on the mound for the Reds. Zach Davies for the Diamondbacks. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
No interest in either pitcher. Cruz, I think, is opening for Ben Lively, who last we saw had the worst start in the majors this year. I remember it like it was yesterday too, because I liked the Cubs that day. I didn't end up landing on them.
Oh no.
Guy pitched, they let him pitch 4 innings, 13 hits, 13 earned runs, 4 home runs, 2 walks. It's pretty bad. So again, not using Arizona because of that, but yeah, man, Arizona looks like one of those teams that's just going to get forgotten about on this slate. They don't have the highest top stacked percentage, 7.3%. They're getting a little bit less ownership than they should. Like they're right in between Oakland and the White Sox. And, Oakland's getting a ton of love. The White Sox are getting a ton of love. Arizona's not. And Arizona's the good offense between those three. Now, they are more expensive, so that's why. Hard to prioritize Arizona over like Baltimore, the Angels, the Phillies, the Cubs. That's why they're not going to be owned though. So like they're in a slightly worse spot, but they do look really good in tournaments. Like they run and they have power. I could say the same exact thing about the Reds. These two teams look very similar to me.
Okay. Are you ready to rank the 4 sides of the game?
Yeah, sure. It's definitely the offense. It's probably Arizona, then Cincinnati. Man, I don't even know how, like, Davis has been out for a while, so I'm not sure how much we can really expect him to pitch here. He last pitched in the middle of July, so it's been over a month. I don't think you can really get to either of these pitchers here in any scenario.
Okay, so just the offenses for you.
Yeah.
All right. Rance asked, did they go over the early slate? Yeah, we started with the early slate. So if you rewind, you can catch everything that we said about the early slate. But all right, we made it through to the end of the main slate, Matt. So you know what we're gonna do. We're gonna do our three favorite pitchers, or you're gonna do your three favorite pitchers, three favorite stacks, and then we're each gonna give our home run call. So starting with the pitchers, who are your three favorite pitchers on this main slate?
There's four guys, so basically you're just leaving one out. I'm going to say it's Bradish, Wheeler, and Scherzer with Peralta left out, but Peralta belongs in that group also. Weird slate like where there's four guys, right? Like usually there's a bunch of pitchers and you want to rank your top three. For me tonight, like there's four and then a clear drop off.
Okay. I mean, that's a good note then. If it's a clear tier of four, might as well give that fourth as well. Three favorite stacks.
Baltimore, Philly, and the Angels as far as like likeliest to succeed. I do think that both sides of the Diamondbacks Reds game is really sneaky in tournaments and will be under-owned.
Do you have a home run pick ready?
I'm gonna go with Gunnar Henderson.
Gunnar Henderson. All right, where do we have? We have Gunnar Henderson with a 19% chance of hitting a home run tonight. That's a good pick. I'm gonna go 10% higher though. I'm gonna go to Juan Soto with a 29% chance of hitting a home run tonight against Freddie Peralta.
All Man, right. Just like I know you want to wrap it up, but I just got to say this. No? Just in note, like when you asked me that question, neither of us, especially me, because I'm the one who answered, mentioned the Cubs. Like that just shows that they are getting forgotten about on this slate. Again, I'm not sure why our tools have them second overall, but like they are going to be the top tournament team on the board if it ends up going like it is right now.
Yep. Benny Levine says prediction. This is before I gave him a prediction. Neil is taking a renowned home run hitter as his home run pick. Yeah, you know how I do.
I don't even think Soto's like a renowned home run hitter. He's just a really good hitter.
Yeah, true. That's fair. Yeah, so I didn't. Screw you, Benny. I didn't. All right. Andrew says, what do you guys think about the back half of the Dodgers lineup if wanting to get to Paxton? What do you think about the back half of the Dodgers lineup?
I think that they're going to be way less owned in the top half. Like, I think that we already have the Dodgers going under-owned, but all their ownership is going to come from the guys that people want to roster. So that's a big difference between Atlanta and the Dodgers these days. Is Atlanta's lineup is pretty much stacked 1 through 9. The Dodgers is not. Like they're really good up top and then they fall off. I think that going to the bottom half like makes sense in tournaments. They're also a lot cheaper. The big thing though you got to watch out for is the pinch hit risk because they will pinch hit guys, especially with a lefty on the hill to start the game. So know that going in, but I like the call a lot, especially on a 5-game slate.
Yeah. All right. So that's a good call. Back half of the Dodgers there. All right. Yeah. Nice. Kevin says 1 times 3. Yeah. We're going to run it back with the 3 homer. I got my 1 yesterday. I did Ryan Mountcastle. Loved Jesse on Twitter.
That's a good call.
I learned that my home run hit when Jesse went on Twitter to complain about the home run from Mountcastle. So hopefully we can piss off Jesse again today with the Juan Soto home run. That is always the goal.
So here's the thing. This is kind of like something that grinds my gears. I got to ask you about. Like, okay. I don't play chalk, especially in baseball. Like, there's so much variance.
Sure.
I'm not like I'm contrarian in how I play, but I'm also aware that the chalk is chalk for a reason. Like, they're likely to succeed. So I don't understand why people get so upset. Like, can't believe the chalk did this. They were chalk for a right. It sucks. Like, I didn't play them either, so I'm not happy about it. But like, I just don't get that logic. You know.
It's always funny. Wow, he's been so bad at 3% ownership, and then he's 20% owned. He hits home run. You get those comments all that, and these guys are my friends, so I give them a hard time. But it's like, yeah, there's a reason they're 20% owned today and not 3%. It's because they're in a better spot. Like as you say, they're chalk for a reason. So yeah, I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
The logic is, and they know that too. Like I talk to these guys sometimes. They absolutely know that the logic, but it's somewhat of a bit. I think doing the complaining on Twitter thing
for sure. It's definitely
yeah.
a bit. Like I look at like Chicago and Oakland tonight. I'm gonna be really upset if those teams like go off because I'm not gonna play them. But I'm also aware like they're in much better spots than they usually are. That's why they're getting ownership.
Yeah, no, that's a good call out. That is, yeah, there's a reason that these guys are chalky, and you can't just, and that it goes back to our conversation about can chalk be underowned. Chalk can be underowned. Like you can be very highly owned and still be underowned by my definition of chalk, which sounds like it is the correct definition of chalk according to if it's used outside of the DFS context as well. It sounds like the
in the betting context
definition.
It's referred to like the most popular side of a match, right? So a lot of times people, it's funny though, because a lot of times you will hear people call the favorites chalk, but that's just mostly because the favorites are the team getting the most love. So yeah, it's definitely used in other walks of life as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that is going to do it for this show. Matt needs to start prepping for his finals experience tomorrow. His 2 lineups.
Don't do that to me.
No, you got plenty of time. Doesn't take long to put together 2 lineups. Matt, though, do you have any final thoughts?
No, man. Just was real pumped when I found out I was going to be doing the show with you, and I think it went really well. Excited to get on here next week with you as well.
Yeah, no, it was a great show. I was even way more excited to learn that you were joining me because this would have been rough being a solo show. Really happy to be joined by Matt and get to sit in the host chair and let Matt do all of the heavy lifting for me. So really appreciate having you here. Really appreciate you guys watching the show despite me coughing every other sentence I speak. Sorry about that. Hopefully I'll be better by tomorrow on the solo show. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for this hour. Again, if you haven't hit that like button, please do so, and good luck today.